Now, one of the means by which we can have an encounter with God is in the place of fasting and prayer. Prayer and fasting is one of the ways we can have an encounter with God. A lot of persons have encountered God in the place of fasting and in the place of prayer. Now let's look at our Bible in the book of Jonah. We all know the story of Jonah. Jonah was a prophet whom God sent on an errand to the people of Nineveh due to their sins. And when Jonah got to the city of Nineveh in Jonah chapter 3, the Bible recorded that Jonah preached the word of God to them. Jonah sent them the message which God has delivered to him. And when the people of Nineveh got the message, in verse 5, they proclaimed a fast. There was a fasting in the whole land of Nineveh, from the greatest to the lowest, even to their animals. And what happened? In verse 10, God saw their works. God saw that these people have repented. God saw what they have done, and God forgave them and did them no harm anymore. So the people of Nineveh in this passage encountered the mercy of God in the place of fasting. So you can encounter God when you come to God in fasting and in prayer. Now, another popular story in the Bible is the story between Abraham and the angels of the Lord, who were about to go and destroy the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. The Bible recorded in Genesis chapter 18 how Abraham was interceding, praying on behalf of Lot, interceding on his behalf and on the behalf of his children and his sons-in-law. Now, what happened? In verse 32 of Genesis chapter 18, God promised not to destroy the whole land of Sodom and Gomorrah if he can find 10 righteous persons. So you see that it was the prayer of Abraham that made a way for the deliverance of the family of Lot from God's anger and destruction in the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, in chapter 19, Genesis chapter 19, when the angels of the Lord came down to destroy the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, the family of Lot was saved. The family of Lot was not just saved because God wanted to save them. No, it was because of the prayer of Abraham on their behalf that made God to exempt them from punishment. So through the place of prayer and through the place of fasting, we can have an encounter with God. Even in the book of Acts of the Apostles chapter 13 from verse 2 to 3, when the disciples of Jesus Christ gathered together, what happened? They fasted and they prayed. After fasting and they prayed, the Spirit of God ministered that they should separate Paul and Barnabas for the work of God. Now, which God have for them. So many encounters can take place in the place of fasting and in the place of prayer. So you as well, you can also participate in this process of encountering God in the place of fasting and prayer.